Hi besties, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about all the new releases that are coming out in the springtime. Spring for me, I count it as the meteorological spring, so it runs from March through like June 19-ish. So we're going to go through late March, April, all of May. So make sure to get your pencils out and your notebooks because we're going to write down a lot of good books to add to the TBR. So my usual range of genre usually is between fantasy, romantasy, some romance. I do like a good literary fiction every now and then. I love horror for sure. And thriller, mystery, I use it as like of a palate cleanser in a sense. So we're definitely going to go through all of those genres in this list that I created today. So let's start with March. Since spring, meteorological spring, starts after March 20th, our first day is March 24th. The first book that we have on the docket is called Honeysuckle by Bar Fridman Tell. This is a horror fantasy. It says the Bear and the Nightingale meets Wayward in this enchanting, deeply compelling debut about love and power, autonomy and consent. Once upon a time on the edge between metal and force, there was a lonely child with only his older sister for company. In exchange for being left in peace, his sister made him a playmate, Day, a girl woven from flowers and words. And for the first time, this boy, Rory, had a friend. Rory couldn't be happier until he learns that Day is a short-lived creature. At the end of each season, she must be woven back together or fall gruesomely apart. And every time Day falls apart might be her last. As Rory and Day grow older and the line between friendship and romance begins to blur, Rory becomes desperate to break this cycle of bloom and decay. But the farther Rory pushes his research and experiments to lengthen Day's existence, the more Day begins to wonder just how much control she really has over her own life. So this one definitely sounds like a pretty good one. And from the initial ARC ratings, it already has a 4.23 from 249 ratings. So it sounds pretty good so far. I'm excited for that one. The next one is called Almost Life by Kieran Millwood Hargrave. Sorry if I said that name completely wrong, but this is a queer literary fiction and I'm super excited for this one because it sounded really good when I read the synopsis the first time. But let me read it to you guys. Two young women meet in Paris in this decade-spanning tour de force about the enduring power of young love and the poignant heartbreak of missed chances. Perfect for fans of One Day in Normal People. Sally Rooney, of course. Erica and Laure, I think it's Laure or Lori? I think it's Lori. Erica and Laurie meet on the steps of the Sacré-Cœur in Paris, 1978. Erica is a student relishing her first summer abroad before beginning university at home in England. Laurie is studying for her PhD at the Sorbonne, drinking and smoking far too much, and sleeping with a married woman. The moment the two women meet, the spark is undeniable and their encounter turns into far more than a summer of love. It is the beginning of a relationship that will define their lives and every decision they have yet to make. Erica and Laurie's love story spans decades, marriage, children, secret trysts, and the agonizing changes, both personal and political, that might mean they can be together after all. But when life brings them within touching distance again, will they be brave enough to seize a future together? This one sounds really good. It sounds like a possible second chance, if I'm understanding this correctly. This one already has a 4.36 rating out of 459 ratings from ARC reviews, so that definitely sounds good too. This next one is called Two Kinds of Stranger by Steve Kavanaugh. Steve Kavanaugh is a very renowned thriller author, as you may know. This one seems like it's part of an interconnected standalone series called Eddie Flynn, which I'm assuming is one of those police procedural lawyer interconnected standalones that a lot of thriller authors do. But this one, the tagline says, she helped a perfect stranger. She helped a perfect a stranger, it says. But no, it's she helped a perfect stranger. She didn't know he was the perfect killer. Ellie Parker had everything. Perfect husband, perfect apartment, perfect friends, and the perfect job. As an internet celebrity famed for her random acts of kindness, everyone knew it. So when a betrayal causes her to lose it all, millions of people are watching. But even at her lowest, Ellie will always help someone in need, which makes her the perfect target for a sadistic game. Because as she soon learns, you can never trust a stranger, and a seemingly random encounter plunges her into a nightmare worse than she ever imagined. The only person she could turn to is a con man turned trial lawyer, Eddie Flynn, who must take on a case where nothing is what it seems. With the most cruelly ingenious mind manipulating events from the shadows, everyone's in danger, including Eddie, and his family. Why would Steve put Eddie as the name of the lawyer and then Ellie as the name of the FMC. That was confusing. But this one sounds good too. This is a 4.7 rating out of 6,240 early reviews already. So definitely sounds like it's a good one, like very popular amongst the community. All right, so this one is actually a little more outside of my wheelhouse, I will say. It says it's a sci-fi slash fantasy in a sense. I've had my struggle in the past with sci-fi, but I'm still giving it a chance. You might see that I have Scythe back there because that's on my March TBR. But this one is called Celestial Lights by Cecile Pin. It says, a beautiful, heartbreaking novel about ambition, love, and space from the award-winning author of the Women's Prize longlisted Wandering Souls. January 28, 1986. Soon after launch, the Challenger shuttle falls out of the sky and into the sea. At the same time, Oliver Innes is born. Celestial Lights is his story. Ollie spends his childhood in an English village where his bedroom is covered in glow-in-the-dark wallpaper bearing the planets and stars. Honestly, same. I had the same way when I was a child. My room. Decades later, he has become one of the most renowned astronauts of his time. When an enterprising billionaire taps him to lead a landmark mission to a distant moon, Europa, Ollie makes a choice that will send his whole world spinning. As the mission advances deeper into uncharted territory, Ollie finds himself retreating into the past, his university days in London and years in the Navy, relationships found and lost, becoming a husband and father. But will the world he remembers still be waiting for him when he returns? This one is giving a little bit of Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid with Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, so that is definitely going to be interesting. I love anything space, honestly, so I feel like I would really enjoy this one. The sci-fi is what kind of scares me since I've had trouble in the past with sci-fi, but I'm just gonna overlook it because I still am super interested. The story sounds really good just from the synopsis, so I'm excited for this one. This one's rated 4.3 out of 226 ARC reviews already, so not too bad. Then the last one I have from March 24th is Wretch, or The Unbecoming of Porcelain Call by Eric LaRocca. Very well-renowned horror author, if you may know. This is a queer horror lit, and I'm excited because it sounds really good too. So it says, after his husband dies, Simon Link finds himself overcome by grief and seeking comfort in an unusual support group called the Wretches, who offer an addictive and dangerous source of relief. They introduce Simon to a curious figure known as Porcelain Call, a man with the ability to let those who are grieving have one last intimate moment with their beloved for a price. This one sounds like it's gonna be like a fever dream, like hallucinogenic induced horror, and it sounds really good. It's rated 3.53 out of 323 early ratings, so not too shabby. It's pretty average, but I know that Eric LaRocca's work is really good. Moving along, the next day that we have is March 31st, and this one we have 4 of them so far. This first one is called The Last Letters of Sally and Walter by Cami McGovern. This is, it says, a romance slash lit fit. As a new resident of Golden Grove, an independent living community for active seniors, Sally wants to do everything in her power to start off on the right foot. But between navigating unspoken social rules of the community and leaving 2 struggling adult children back at home, fitting in becomes harder than she expected. So when she sees flyers advertising the Scrabble Club, she thinks she might as well give it a try. She quickly realizes her faux pas when she walks into the library to find just one man, Walter Kretzer, who has a reputation for being a bit intense. Walter has taken his Scrabble Club a pinch too seriously in the past, but when he meets Sally with her golden flecked eyes and sensible style and discovers she's something of a prodigy at the game, he can't help but feel his fate is about to change. As he draws Sally into the world of high-stakes Scrabble tournaments, his feelings for her grow and inspire him to take a hard look at his life. When the truth about Sally's reasons for moving to Golden Grove are suddenly exposed, Walter finds himself with the gumption to make his last chapter in his life the best yet. Guys, that sounds so cute. Because I love the representation also with older characters. Definitely, it just sounds like it's gonna be such a cute little story, like a one last final chance at love in life. Like, I can't wait. It sounds so good. This one's rated 4.13 out of 83 ratings. The next one I have for March 31st is Nothing Tastes As Good by Luke Dumas. This is a horror, and this one sounds fire, guys. Like super fire. Retail worker Emmett Truesdale has never fit the Southern California mold of six-pack suntan masculinity. Over 300 pounds, he carries the weight of his childhood trauma and millennial ennui around his waist and in his soul. After trying every diet under the sun, he remains stuck in his dead-end job, in love, and in his body. Desperate for help, he enrolls in a clinical trial for a new weight loss product called Obexity. The treatment is as horrifying as the results are miraculous. And as Emmett sheds pounds at superhuman speed, every part of his life improves overnight. Unfortunately, Obexity comes with some killer side effects, including lost stretches of time and overwhelming cravings. Worse, people who were cruel to him have started disappearing, and when the police warn of a cannibalistic killer on the loose, he fears that Obexity is turning him into a monster. But how can he give it up now that people are finally starting to treat him like he's human? OMG. If this does not give you the substance, like this is so coded about that movie, like it sounds so fire. This one is definitely like high up there that I need to read when it comes out because it sounds like it's gonna be so good. The ratings right now is at 4.10 with 564 early reviews. So that is definitely a very promising book, I think. The next one that we have is called Hold Me Like a Grudge by Celine Ong. This is a queer sports romance. I'm not the biggest fan of sports romance, I will tell you that. But anything MM, I will be reading. From dramatic character gimmicks to death-defying stunts, everything in the world of professional wrestling is an act. Asher Ross's hatred for Caleb Knight, however, is not. When Asher gets drafted to Global Elite Wrestling's main roster, playing the role of Caleb's worst enemy, the face to his heel, should be easy. Stripping him of his world championship title should be even easier, but as the two men trade barbs and blows across arenas, they're each surprised to find their chemistry is so sizzling it can't just be for the cameras. Through training sessions, rehearsals, and injuries, Caleb's icy demeanor melts away and Asher begins to see the real man behind the cruel persona Global Elite Wrestling has molded Caleb into. An unlikely truce evolves into feelings neither want to deny, but the company won't let them be seen as anything other than bitter rivals, both in and out of the ring. As Asher and Caleb grapple with what they truly want in an industry with a history of denying queerness, their forbidden romance comes crashing down on them, and both men are forced to decide that their relationship is real enough to last and just how much they're willing to fight for it. It definitely sounds like a little bit of a cliche, but I do like the fact that it's professional wrestling. You know, most of these sports romances, most of the time is freaking hockey, and I'm tired of it. Like, love heated rivalry, but let's go on to the next sport, guys. This one is rated 4.32 with 209 early reviews. So it sounds pretty promising too. And like I said, anything MM, give it to me. Then the last one I have here for March 31st is The Geomagician by Jennifer Mandula. This one is a historical fantasy. When a Victorian fossil hunter discovers a baby pterodactyl, she vows to protect him with the help of a fellow scholar, her former fiance, in this enchanting and transporting historical fantasy. This one definitely sounds very interesting. It has like a different aspect to it that I don't think I've seen done before, like with the paleontology. So I hope that there is those fantastical elements of, you know, the dinosaurs very embedded within the story and it doesn't like only focus on the romance. You know, I want this to be a romantasy, but give me all of the lore about the dinosaurs, please. This one's rated 3.87 currently with 326 early reviews. So now we're moving into April. April, we have 4 releases, obviously, because this is 4 weeks in a month. But the first one is April 7th. I have 2 for these only, and one of them is very, very popular, so you might not know, you might know it already. And that is The Ending Writes Itself by Evelyn Clark, which is a duo author writing of The Schwab, and it's called Kat Clark, I believe is her name. Let me double check that. Yes, Kat Clark. She's not an author. She used to be a screenwriter, it says. Interesting, did not know that. But yeah, they collabed to write this book together. I'm pretty sure that most people know what this one is about. But basically, I'll give you the tagline at the top. It says, 6 authors, 1 private island, 72 hours to write the ending that will change their lives. So it definitely does sound very, very interesting. If it's anything similar that V. Schwab has written before, I'm sure it's gonna be a good one for sure. And this one has a 3.87 rating so far with 639 early reviews. Then the last one that I have for April 7th is Year of the Mer by L.D. Lewis. So this is a epic fantasy retelling of The Little Mermaid, but it's queer. So it's, I'm pretty sure, between Ariel and Ursula. So this one definitely sounds good. I just am a little afraid because it's rated 3.32 with 63 ratings, like early ratings. So it might not be the exact retelling that I would be looking forward to read. Because if you know me, The Little Mermaid is one of my favorite Disney movies, like of all time. She's my favorite Disney princess too. But I'm afraid that it won't be the best retelling because of those reviews. But it is queer, so you could bet your bottom dollar that I'm gonna read it. All right, moving along to April 14th. The first one that we have on there is called The Take by Kelly Yang. This one, it says, is teetering between contemporary and speculative fiction with a little bit of sci-fi apparently. So let's see, it says, ambition always has a price. Maggie Wang, a broke young Asian American writer, needs a lifeline. Ingrid Parker, a veteran white Hollywood producer with her career on the edge, offers an impossible $3 million for 10 experimental medical sessions promising to turn back time, using Maggie as a transfusion partner. For Ingrid, it's a chance to reboot her fading career. For Maggie, it's freedom, money to support her parents, and finally finish her novel. What starts as a professional transaction exchanging blood quickly becomes a complex psychological dance. Maggie gains unprecedented access to Ingrid's hard-earned wisdom, while Ingrid sees in Maggie a potential protege and a weapon against an industry that's been trying to sideline her. As their relationship intensifies, they're forced to confront the harsh realities of race, age, and success. Who has the power to tell stories, and what are they willing to sacrifice to succeed? This one definitely does sound really interesting. It's rated 3.92 with 83 early ratings, so I'm gonna have to read that one, like for sure. This next one is by a very popular thriller author called Serafina Nova Glass. It's called Too Close to Home. This one seems like it's gonna be pretty in the same wheelhouse that she likes to go in her books. So let me read you the synopsis. Nothing in this idyllic community is quite what it seems. Those lucky enough to live in the elite lakefront community of Clover Hill Lakes are drawn to it for its safety and top-notch school district. The moms meet for coffee at the park while their kids play. They're heavily involved in the PTA, and the summers are filled with Chardonnay, brunch, sundresses, and backyard bonfires. But everything changes when Reagan Hoffman's car explodes at the annual Labor Day party. The wrong person is killed, but it was meant for her. As the carefully crafted walls of her community begin to crumble, Reagan tries to keep it together, something made infinitely harder when she sees her dead husband alive. When a Clover Hill Lakes resident suddenly goes missing, dark secrets begin to surface from underneath the idyllic veneer of their beautiful community, and the truth threatens to destroy them all as Reagan finds herself in a fight for her life. Definitely sounds like your typical domestic popcorn thriller type. I think it's gonna be a really good one because it's like the rich people drama type of thing. So I kind of like reading about that. So this one definitely sounds good. It's rated 4.05 with 364 early reviews. Definitely gonna check that one out. The next one we have is called Daughter of Crows by Mark Lawrence. This is book one in a new series. I believe it's romantasy. Actually, JK, it's a high fantasy dark academia, it says. I love that. So this is book one in the series that's gonna be called The Kindness Academy. Set a thief to catch a thief. Set a monster to punish monsters. The Academy of Kindness exists to create agents of retribution, cast in the image of the Furies, known as the Kindly Ones, against whom even the gods hesitate to stand. Each year, 100 girls are sold to the Academy. 10 years later, only 3 will emerge. The Academy's halls run with blood. The few that survive this decade-long nightmare have been forged on the sands of the Wound Garden. They have learned ancient secrets amid the necrotic fumes of the Bone Garden. They leave its gates as avatars of vengeance, bound to uphold the oldest of laws. Only the most desperate would sell their child to the kindnesses, but Rue, she sold herself. And now, a lifetime later, a long and bloody lifetime later, just as she has discovered peace, war has been brought to an old woman's doorstep. That was a mistake. This one sounds really good, actually. Oh my gosh. I love high fantasy, honestly. This one's rated 4.26 out of 155 early ratings. This one is definitely in the top 5 of this entire list. I want to read so badly. All right, and then the last one that I have for April 14th is called Prince Weaver by Elian J. Morgan, I believe it's the name. This one is a queer romantasy. You already got me from there. Born with forbidden, nature-infused magic in an occupied land, anxious apothecary Mailer survives by keeping his head down, until he ends up engaged to invading Prince Ocean in order to save his brother's life. Marriage of Convenience 2, you guys. Sold. Like, I don't want to read anymore. I'm sold. Now he is in a deadly game of cat and mouse to hide his true self. When nobles in Ocean's court are gruesomely murdered by the same magic that flows through his veins, Mailer realizes someone is seeking revenge for his homeland. As suspicion towards him grows, he and the prince work together to uncover the killer or risk losing the crown or their lives. Between court politics, unwieldy magic, and a murderer on the loose, Mailer must keep his wits about him, especially as his feelings for Ocean grow deeper with every passing day. Y'all got me with this one. This is gonna be the one. It's rated 4.19 out of 99 early ratings. I think it's gonna be a really, really good one. Okay, moving on to April 21st. April 21st, we have a few actually. The first one is called The Caretaker by Marcus Cleaver. I think that's how you say his name, his last name. I'm so sorry if I said that wrong, but he is the author of We Used to Live Here, and that one was a really good one. So let's see what it's all about. Exciting opportunity. Caretaker urgently needed. 3 days of work, competitive pay, serious applicants only. Macy Mullins can't say why the job posting grabbed her attention. It had the pull of a fisherman's lure, barbed hook and all. Vaguely ominous. But after an endless string of failed job interviews, she's not exactly in the position to be picky. She has rent to pay, groceries to buy, and a younger sister to provide for. Besides, it's only 3 days of work. 3 days, cooped up in a stranger's house, surrounded by Oregon coast wilderness. What starts as a peculiar side gig soon becomes a waking nightmare. An incomprehensible evil may dwell on this property, and Macy Mullins might just be the only thing standing between it and the rest of humanity. Follow the rights. This is definitely giving like paranormal cults, like something like along those lines. And if it's anything like We Used to Live Here, we know that it's gonna be a total mindfuck most of the time, and then you kind of get that twist and you're like, what the fuck? So I'm really excited for this one for sure. The next one we got here is Smoke and Scar by Gretchen Powell Fox. This is a romantasy, and this is the start of a new series called Shattered Crown, Birthed in Shadow, Forged in Fire. A splintered kingdom, an ancient grudge has kept humans and the magical races of Arcanus at odds for centuries. The Arcane Crucible, a legendary series of trials that occurs every 25 years, offers a chance for peace. A haunted warrior, Elria, I think that's how you say the name, Lightbreaker, once the celebrated Fae war hero, is a shadow of her former self, drowning in grief after losing the man she loved to a previous crucible, and now she must rise to stop his sister from falling to the same fate. A vengeful knight, hardened by loss and fueled by hate, Cedric Thorne's lifelong goal to conquer the crucible on humanity's behalf is finally within reach. The only problem, getting through the trials alive, means working with Elria, the very Fae he blames for his parents' death. An unwinnable challenge. With alliances fragile as spun glass and betrayal lurking at every turn, Elria and Cedric must navigate deadly trials that test their strength, spirit, and magic, as well as their increasingly complex feelings for each other. This is the Arcane Crucible. Yep, sounds like your standard trials, enemies to lovers, romantasy. It definitely sounds good. It's rated 4.05 with 7,794 early ratings, so definitely is well vetted for at this point. So it sounds like it's going to be a good one. All right, the next release of April 21st is called Witch Queen Rising by Savannah Stevens. This one is a paranormal fantasy, and it has witches, vampires, and werewolves, so definitely something up my alley already. A reclusive witch who fled the burden of her bloodline rises to be the greatest among them in this lush and haunting fantasy debut. And it's a debut novel. I love that. For New Orleans Witchkin, there's no greater honor than to become the prime, chosen to rule. But the title is meant to pass between two rival houses of magic, not to the prodigal daughter of the former prime who died under mysterious circumstances. As a girl, Seraphine Barreau was dubbed the Tick Witch for her ability to feed on magic and make it her own, even among those who alter fate and manipulate reality. She was a powerful outcast, feared and misunderstood by her people. Now, dragged back to continue the legacy that that nearly destroyed her, Seraphine has her work cut out for her. She must earn the respect of her people, navigate the politics of the paranormal communities residing in her city, and heal a broken heart, all at the while battling a parasitic curse poisoning witchkin. Between her werewolf ex, power-hungry vampires, and the skeletons in her family's closet, Seraphine must learn to make peace with her past to save her and all of Witchkin's future. This one definitely sounds really good. It's actually, an urban fantasy. Should have seen that little tagline in the bottom. It has 4.44 star ratings out of 62 ratings, so not a lot, but it still sounds very intriguing. It sounds like something super up my alley. The next one we have is called Japanese Gothic by Kylie Lee Baker. This one is an author that I've already read from before. I read the pandemic one. Why am I forgetting the name of it? Bat Eater and Other Names for Korozang. I read that one in October of last year, and that one was really, really good. So I'm expecting a really, really good book from this one too. Lee Turner doesn't remember how or why he killed his college roommate. The details are blurred and bloody. All he knows is he has to flee New York and go to the one place that might offer refuge, his father's new home in Japan, a house hidden by sword ferns and wild ginger. But something is terribly wrong with the house. No animals will come near it. The bedroom window isn't always a window, and a woman with a sword appears in the yard when night falls. And then it's a different timeline, October 1877. Sen is a young samurai in exile, hiding from the imperial soldiers in a house behind the sword ferns. A monster came home from war wearing her father's face, but Sen would do anything to please him, even turn her sword on her own mother. She knows the soldiers will soon slaughter her whole family when she sees a terrible omen, a young foreign man who appears outside her window. One of these people is a ghost, and one of these stories is a lie. Something is hiding beneath the house of sword ferns, and Lee and Sen will soon wish they never unburied it. Holy shit, that sounds so good, actually. Oh my gosh, this one sounds so good. I'm so excited for this one. This one's rated 4.39 out of 364 ratings. This one is another top contender for me to read as soon as it comes out. Like, holy Toledo. Then the last one that I have for April 21st, the publishing date changed to May 5th for this one, but I had it under April 21st. Well, we'll leave it in April. Sorry, guys. But this one is called Honey by Imani Thompson. This one definitely sounds really strong. And I also got this recommendation from Books and Lala here on YouTube also. A dark, provocative, adrenaline rush of a novel about a graduate student who murders bad men and justifies it in the name of feminism by a bold new voice in fiction. Ursa is in a funk. She's bored of her PhD program, bored of her research on Afro-pessimism, bored of the entitled undergrads she has to cater to, but most of all, she's bored of the men in her life, especially the bad ones. When her best friend Nina confesses to having an affair with her professor and that he's stolen her research, Ursa is mad. On the quad, Ursa bumps into the professor and witnesses his death, an unfortunate incident involving his San Pellegrino and a bee allergy. What she sees that afternoon awakens something in her, a taste for murder. Emboldened, Ursa decides to chase that high, and soon no sexist, misbehaving man within commuting distance is safe. With each murder, Ursa feels a greater sense of meaning and purpose. Finally, her doctoral research feels useful. But how long can killing in the name of feminist and racial solidarity justify her actions? Will her rampage ever assuage her feelings of rage and revenge? And how long until her actions and buried family secrets come back to haunt her? This one sounds fire too. Like, I know that this is going to be such a good for her, supporting women's wrongs type of horror novel. I just know it's going to be good. It's rated 3.82 with 260 early ratings. So another one that's all the way up in the top of me wanting to read it when it comes out. It's May 5th of release, just to give you the heads up again, but I had it under April 21st because that's how I initially found it. And then my last one for April is April 28th. I only have one book on here, and it's called Bloodbound by Ellis Hunter. This is a book one of a romantasy new series that's coming out by Ellis Hunter called Cursed Covenant. This one, the tagline at the top says, a debut high-stakes fantasy romance trilogy set against a once-in-a-generation duel to the death between rival witches and dragon riders as they battle to control the source of magic in their kingdoms. Perfect for fans of Fourth Wing, Throne of Glass, and Quicksilver. I hate when they put like the big popular titles on a tagline for a book like that, because inevitably so I go into the book comparing it to those books already, you know? So like there's nothing I can do. Like my prime example would be with Direbound by Sable Sorensen. when I read the tagline, it said it's literally like fourth wing, but with wolves or whatever, and that's literally what I was reading. Like, I kept reading and ingesting that book, and I kept telling myself, like, this is literally just fourth wing, but with wolves. So I really don't like when authors or like publishing companies do that, like compared to those big popular books, because I can't avoid me comparing the two, but it definitely still sounds good. Let me read you the synopsis. You duel or you die. Astrid has always known she is destined to die. She is the last Natchstern witch, I hope I said that right, and heir to the queendom of Arturia. These fantasy names always get me. They always get me, girl. Cursed by a centuries-old covenant to duel the heir to the kingdom of Vatra for the source of all magic, the heart. And now Astrid's time is up. She's heading into enemy territory to face Prince Sryan. Wow, these names are kind of intense, so I'm probably mispronouncing all of them. She's heading into enemy territory to face Prince Siren, the most powerful dragon rider in eons, with only her familiar, her potions, and her wits to aid her. She's going to die, and any chance her queendom has of curing the blight that's ravaging the lands and killing her people will die with her. Meanwhile, deep in Dragon Country, Skylar and her traveling trope arrive in Vatra's capital, ready to profit off the legions of spectators swarming to the city ahead of the duel. She despises the royals and all they stand for, especially as a king's guard murdered her mother. But when her best friend disappears, suspected to have been taken in the conscription, I can never say that word either, her search takes her closer to the royals than she ever could have imagined. As the duel looms over the kingdom, Skylar and Astrid's fates intertwine. They must battle a growing rebellion, their inner demons, and ultimately those they love most, to determine if together they will save or doom their world. It definitely sounds really, really solid. I definitely did not get any similarities from those big name books that they mentioned in the tagline, so that's a good thing. And I also like the idea that it's like witches against dragon riders. Love that so much. It's rated 4.34 with 524 early ratings, so I think it's gonna be a good one. All right, so now we're moving on to May. May also has, it shows like there's 5 releases, because I have 5/5, 5/12, 5/19, 5/21, and 5/26. But nonetheless, let's start with May 5th. I got a couple here for you guys. So the first one is called Accumulation by Amy Pakwatka, I believe. I'm saying that name wrong, sorry. But this is a horror. And this one says, a twisty, searing, conversation-starting novel about a filmmaker turned housewife who moves into her dream house and is forced to consider whether it's the house or herself that is haunted. When documentary filmmaker turned stay-at-home mom Tennessee Cherish moves into the dream house her husband bought for her, a brighter future seems to be on the horizon. Even if her husband is frustratingly absent due to his new high-paying job, even if their 2 young children begin acting out in strange ways, even if she feels lonelier than ever. Distracted by the endless details that come with moving into a new town, a new house, and new schools, Tennessee doesn't notice when odd things begin happening at home. The faucet that runs at all hours, the creepy doll that seems to show up in every room, the human tooth that's found in the floorboards. As the kids outburst and the strange events start to escalate, the family finds themselves increasingly caught in loops, repeating everyday actions with dangerous and then devastating effects. Tennessee realizes she must find the source of what is haunting her family before it kills them all. It's giving a little bit like The Conjuring. I kind of got that from there a little bit, but this one has 3.53 ratings, a 3.53 rating with 78 early reviews so far. It sounds good. It sounds like it has potential for sure. It definitely does. And I love me a good horror book about possession, let me tell you. The next one is called The Last Contract of Isako by Fonda Lee. This is a new standalone space opera by her. I'm pretty sure that everyone knows one of her most popular ones is the Jade City trilogy. I've heard amazing things about that one and I really can't wait to read it. And I know that Fonda Lee is a very well-renowned author too. So when I saw this one and I read the synopsis of it, I was like, I'm gonna have to add this to the TBR too, aren't I? Isako is a legendary swordswoman, but every legend has to come to an end. When her longtime client unexpectedly retires, she plans to follow, to walk out into the frozen wasteland of their planet with her head held high and her family enriched by her legacy. But when a competitor offers her a final mission, it's one she can't refuse. Soon she's thrust deep into a world of corporate espionage, duty-bound duels, and shadowy secrets. What she uncovers will change humanity's existence in the stars forever. This one sounds super, super good. It's rated 4.34 with 242 early reviews. Alright, so the next one is called The Verity Guild by May Cortland. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, this one, the main reason that I added it to the list was that cover with those spreads. Come on, you can't tell me that does not look gorgeous. Like, are you seeing that? This one says, secrets built this republic, one truth could burn it down. High Priestess Keresi Vestal has spent her life hiding the truth, that she's the last surviving heir of the magical bloodline the Republic slaughtered. One wrong step could be fatal, but when a senator is brutally killed and a temple blade is found at the scene, all eyes turn to her. Praetorian Torin Morvain has made a career of dragging liars into the light, and Keresi is the one person he's vowed to ruin. But locked on a mountain with a murderer, scheming senators, and a prophecy of death, he's forced to work at her side. The closer he gets, the more dangerous the truth and their attraction becomes. With traitors closing in and a nation on the verge of shattering, Keresi and Torin must risk everything to uncover the real killer, even if it means trusting their sworn enemy. Sounds a little bit of a generic plot line in a sense. You know, it sounds like your typical romantasy for sure, but it still sounds really good. That cover is to die for gorgeous, and it's rated 4.69 with only 16 early reviews. So this one's definitely one of those I'm gonna probably push off and wait to see as more reviews roll in to see if other booktubers that I watch online have read it and reviewed it and what they thought about it. So like I said, that cover is gorgeous. All right, so moving on to May 12th. For this one, we only have two, and the first one is called Abyss by Nicholas Binge. This one says Severance meets Lovecraft in this surreal tale of corporate horror and existential dread. Joe always had potential, but he doesn't expect much, and he hopes that his new job as an admin assistant won't expect much of him. But when he enters the offices of Ponos, a company he's never heard of and knows nothing about, he discovers that potential is exactly what they want from him. A feverish dive into the inhumanity of both late-stage capitalism and the crippling anxieties of modern life, Abyss adds a new level of meaning to Wage Slave. So this is supposed to be a horror, and it says it's a novella, so it's definitely on the shorter side. Yeah, 160 pages. So this one sounds really good. I love that there's a lot of like those corporate horror type books coming out lately, because let me tell you, at least the corporate life in America is not fun. So I love reading a good book where they do what needs to be done to corporate America. The second one that I have here for May 12th is We Dance Upon Demons by Vaishnavi Patel. I'm sorry if I said that name wrong, but this one definitely sounds like a pretty good one. It's supposed to be a horror fantasy, I want to say. As a reproductive healthcare worker in Chicago, Nisha is barely staying afloat in the ocean of abortion bans, screaming protesters, and her own all-consuming depression. When she escapes to the Indian art exhibit at her favorite museum for a brief respite, Nisha suddenly finds herself bleeding, disoriented, and collapsed on the ground. The last thing she remembers is the statue that beckoned her to touch it. In the days that follow, Nisha feels a strange power coursing within her, one that attracts a host of dangerous and enigmatic characters who covet it for themselves. Facing threats both otherworldly and distinctly human, Nisha must navigate uncertain alliances to piece together the centuries-old mystery of her odd and terrifying abilities. And as danger closes in on her loved ones, community, and the clinic she's determined to protect, Nisha must make a choice about the life she wants and fight all the demons standing in her way to get it. Sounds like another good for her type of book. The tagline says, a galvanizing standalone contemporary fantasy following a burnt-out reproductive healthcare worker as she fights back against escalating attacks on her clinic and the malevolent forces in hot pursuit of her newly acquired power. Okay. Sounds good. The next release date is May 19th. This one I also have two on here. The first one is called The Dorians by Nick Cutter. On a remote island in the Canadian wilderness, 5 elderly volunteers from different walks of life are given a tantalizing offer: to stall their biological clocks or even reverse them, restoring their lost youth. The chance to put death on pause forever perhaps. The remarkable secret lies in the high-tech harnessing of an ancient and extraordinary biological agent, one with no conscience, yet possessed with a single-minded purpose that has helped it persist for eons: the will to survive. The dark heart of unbridled human ambition finds its apex in an unholy experiment that now tests the limits of both creator and subject, eclipsing all bounds of morality and sanity. This one is a horror for sure, and it's rated 3.89 with 19 early reviews. I'll probably give it a chance before I see any reviews or ratings come through because it does sound really interesting. The second one for my May 19th release date is kind of different because I feel like I haven't really talked a lot of romance besides romantasy, but this one is just a regular contemporary cowboy romance. And if you know me, I love a good cowboy romance, and Elsie Silver always knows how to do it right. So this one is called Fever Dream by Elsie Silver, which is book 1 in the new interconnected standalone series cowboy romances that she's coming out with called Emerald Lake, which is following other characters from the Rose Hill series too. So this first one, we're following Emmett Bush, who is a professional bull rider. He's not looking for love. He's looking for a paycheck to save his family's farm from bankruptcy. So when he agrees to be the leading man on a hot new reality dating show, Romance Ranch, he's already decided it's all one big performance. She's the last woman who should pique his interest. Julia has been warned about Emmett. She knows better than to fall for his cocky swagger, broad shoulders, and smoldering good looks. Plus, she's sworn off relationships. But as Julia and Emmett work together, mutual distaste grows into an unexpected connection, and then something more. Soon they find themselves searching for excuses to spend time together and out of reach of the cameras, knowing glances, stolen kisses, secret rendezvous. Still, Emmett signed up to play the role of an eligible bachelor searching for the one. His family's land and legacy depend on him completing the show. The problem is, he's already fallen in love, just not with a contestant. Your typical small town, forbidden, enemies to lovers, like the whole 9 yards on terms of tropes. But I'm probably gonna eat that shit up because I eat anything so Elsie Silver up, let me tell you. And it's rated so far 3.99 out of 195 early ratings. So I think it's promising. It's gonna be a good one. I know it. It's Elsie Silver, guys. All right, so we have 2 more here on my list. The first one is on May 21st, and this one's called Before I Knew I Loved You by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. If you know me or you've been following my channel for a while, you know that I love the Before the Coffee Gets Cold series, and this is gonna be book 6 in the actual interconnected standalone series that he has. There's something about his writing and the messages that are all embedded within all of the short stories within the book, on top of the premise, the main premise of the book being a little tiny cafe in Tokyo where you sit on a specific seat and you have to drink the coffee before it gets cold when you travel to the past. So that whole premise itself, I love it already because of the magical realism aspect. I love that series. I will forever keep reading it. Even if he publishes 100 of them, I will read every single one. And my last spring new release book on my list is called The Rain Shadow Orphans by Naomi Ishiguro. This looks like is book 1 to the Rain Shadow series, the first novel in a dazzling fantasy trilogy inspired by Japanese folklore and Studio Ghibli films like Spirited Away, set within a mythical archipelago brimming with dragons and sun spirits, high-tech hackers, and bubble tea. Already from that tagline, it sounds so cute. Life is hard for the inhabitants of the Rain Shadow City, a place where poverty and corruption are rife and where they are terrorized by an underground criminal organization known as the Lucky Crows. Toshiko, Jun, and Mei Kawakami are a family bonded through loyalty if not blood, who live outside the increasingly corrupt law and who are seeking revenge for the murder of their beloved aunt Reiko by the Lucky Crows. Haru is the son of the Emperor, destined to one day rule over the archipelago and uphold his mother's ignoble legacy. But he is more interested in making friends with the magical sun spirit, it seems, only he can see. Theo, forced to leave his homeland, is a reluctant foot soldier for the Lucky Crows. He doesn't want to be a gangster, but as an illegal immigrant to the city, his choices are severely limited. When Toshiko steals a dragon pearl from the leader of the Crows, it sets them all on a thrilling path which will determine the future of Rain Shadow City. Tightly set across 2 days and peopled with unforgettable characters, The Rain Shadow Orphans blends the anime fantasy of works like Pokemon and Studio Ghibli and the anime science fiction of revolutionary cyberpunk like Akira to explore what it means to stand up for corruption and take charge of destiny. Yeah, so it's kind of giving more of like a cozy fantasy in a sense, just with a little bit of a high stakes in there mixed in. It's rated 3.92 with 51 early reviews. It sounds really good. It's giving a little YA, I think. I still want to give it a chance because it does sound like it's a really promising premise in there for sure. But there you have it. Those are 30 plus new releases that are coming out this spring. Let me know in the comments which one of these sounds the most exciting for you. You definitely notice that a lot of the horrors are the ones that piqued my interest the most. I'm a horror fan through and through, so you're never not gonna expect that, honestly. But if you like this video, make sure to go ahead and give me a like, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell so you're notified every single time I post a new video. And with that, besties, let's get hooked.